सोमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ तत्सत्। So, we have finished the 5th chapter, and the 5th chapter was about what is called the Mahavakya Prakarana. So, we are proceeding gradually, and that is what is given in the introduction to the 6th chapter, which is called Chitradeepa Prakaranam. Now, what is saying? Evam Srishti Dvaividhyam Tad Hetubhuta Jiveshwara Swarupa Bhedam cha Nirupya. What did we do in the Srishti Dvaividhyam? Srishti is of two types. What was it? We discussed that in the 4th chapter. Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti. Ishvara Srishti is whatever you have the Panchabhutatmaka Srishti, right? Air, water, sky, all these. This is not a big obstruction in our sadhana. The real obstruction in our sadhana is what we consider to be real, but which is in fact a projection of our own mind. And by our own mind, we have also discussed that how the mind projects it. There is Shastriya Advaita, there is Asastriya Advaita. What is Shastriya Advaita? What is approved by the scriptures, that, for example, you would go and pray. So you would have some Bheda Buddhi, Ishvara and Manushya. There is some Shastra to read. Right now we are doing Vedanta. So there is some presumption of diversity. There is a text called Panchadashi. Then we are the students. We are doing satsang. And we are doing it through the online channel. This is Shastriya Dvaita. Like you would go to the Guru and touch his feet and pray. Shastriya Dvaita. What is Asastriya Dvaita? What is sort of laid out because of Raga Dvesha, because of our inherited aspirations and cravings and attachments and aversions, which are there. These are games we play at the mental level. There's nothing real about it. Asastriya Dvaita. That is, so again, there we discuss that this Asastriya Dvaita sometimes could be Manda and could be Utkata also. What is Manda? Where you are only doing Manorajya. You are doing a few fantasies because you want to release from your very stressful everyday life. So you're fantasizing. I am doing this, I am doing that, all that. And then there is also very Utkata, very Dridha. Both are bad. Something where you actually engage in Raga Dvesha, that would create more karmic impact and will become a bigger obstacle in our sadhana. We have discussed that all in the 4th chapter. So at the bottom is Asastriya Utkata Dvaita. And then there is a bit of Manda Dvaita, in the Jiva Srishti. There is something Manda, Manorajya only. Then there is Shastriya Dvaita. Asastriya Dvaita also two types. Then Shastriya Dvaita, we can do it until we have Atmik Jnana. Once we have Atmik Jnana, there is no need for the Dvaitatmaka, the sadhanas where there is some kind of diversity. And then at the top of it is Ishvara Srishti. That absolutely doesn't harm us. That is Sadhaka, not Vadhaka. Even Jiva Dvaita, you have seen Shastriya Dvaita is also Sadhaka. We have discussed all that, and he's saying, Evam Srishti Dvaividhyam Tat Hedu Bhuta Jiveshwara Swarupa Bhedam. Jiva and Ishvara. Jiva is Avidya Upahita Chaitanya, Ishvara is Maya Upahita Chaitanya. In Ishvara, Maya is the tool. Maya doesn't blind Ishvara, doesn't bind him. Maya remains the potential using which Ishvara creates all this. But in our case, this avidya uses its potential to do what? Avarana and vikshepa. It hides the truth. And then there is a projection of what is unreal as real, like we see Ayam Sharpaha. The rope is not visible to us, but additional handicap we suffer is that we would see this as a snake. Vikshepa. In the avarana also, we have discussed that two types. Yeah, what is it? Asatvapadaka and abhanapadaka avarana. Asatva means it's not there. But then you know Brahman is one, but you are not seeing it. So that is abhanapadaka avarana. So there is a covering or kind of ignorance which hides the truth. At one level, through paroksha jnana, reading Shastra, you know, Brahman is one, but I'm not being able to experience it. That is apana padaka avarana. And then ultimately you have the asatva padaka avarana. Padhai karne par, when we study it, the asatva padaka avarana will go, but the abhana padaka avarana will still stay with us. Then vikshepa. Vikshepa is there. Vikshepa, because of which, like there are a lot of examples. This whole samsara, everything becomes very real. We engage it in the vikshepa. Hetubhuta Jiveshwara Swarupa Bhedam cha Nirupya. That was explained to us in this chapter 4. Then Swarupa Bhedasya Upadhikritataya. This difference between Jiva and Ishvara, is it real? No, it's not real. Then what is it? Upadhikritataya. It is Sopadhika. What is Sopadhika? In the language, in Nyaya language, they put it like this. Vidyamanatve sati karya ananvayatve sati itara vyavartakam. That means what? Upadhi helps you. Upadhi is bhedaka. It can distinguish X from Y. It's like a branding, it's a labeling. Vidyamanatve sati, it is there. So you have a crystal. It's a stone. So you bring a green flower close to it. It looks green. You bring a red flower, it looks red. Therefore, Vidyamanatva sati, that upadhi is present. It is having this blue or green or yellow, whatever color it has. And Karya Ananvayatva sati, that means there is no intrinsic organic relationship between the color of the crystal and the crystal. Because that color is an appearance. There is no real organic relationship. And then itara vyavartakam, because this one looks red, the other one looks green, because there is a green flower close to it, and or maybe a bunch of leaves close to it, and there is a red rose close to this crystal, so this crystal looks different from the other crystal. These are upadhis. So Maya upadhi means that is the nimitta of the Veda. He appears as Ishvara, that same Chaitanya, that consciousness appears as Ishvara, Sarva Shaktiman, with Maya upadhi. And then a flower called avidya, that that coloring agent, avidya, the blinding agent, comes close to the jiva. Therefore, we become with the overload of raga dvesha. That same avidya, when it has an overload of sattva, becomes maya. With an overload of raga dvesha, rajas and tamas, it becomes avidya. Yeah, that is how we are saying upadhyosya maya tad avantara swarupadaya. Upadhi, Maya with Ishvara, Abhantara Swarupa. We have avidya here because of the predominance of Rajas and Tamas. Cha avastutva nirupya Swarupataha neither Jiva nor Ishvara are fundamentally real. They are phenomenally real. Tan nirupanena, having first they explain it, then they delineate how that works out. Labdham brahmatmekyam srotamiti bodhayitum. Therefore, Jiva and Brahma, Jiva Brahmevana Paraha, in order to explain it, that Labdham brahmatmekyam, because once you know this is only superimposition, then we are human beings. Somebody is a lady, somebody is a man, somebody is a tree, somebody is a river, somebody is a mountain. These are all upadhis. These are different levels put on the same consciousness on which these are superimposed. That is what Vedanta says. Ultimately, everything is Brahman. Shrotam bodhayitum, whatever is mentioned in the Shrutis, in order to explain that, we entered into the chapter 5, which had only 8 slokas, 8 and 2 each for one Mahavakya. First, you have what? The first is Ayam Atma. The first one was Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi. First we did Aham Brahmasmi, then Tattvamasi Chandogya Upanishad. Jajurveda Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, the first one Rig Veda, then Aham Brahmasmi, Yajurveda, Tattvamasi, the Samveda, and Athara Veda, we did Ayam Atma Brahma. But while saying Ayam Atma Brahma, we are referring to this one. So whatever is so intimate to you and what is being referred to as if it's Paroksha, Paroksha, Aparoksha, because God, Ishvara, is different from you, isn't it? That both of you are, but essentially it's what? I am Atma Brahma. That Brahma is not different from you. That we had and concluded the chapter. Then Mahavakyartha Nirupanam Kritva, we did it in the 5th chapter. Now, Tad Vivekena, with that Vivechana, with that Vichara, with that analysis and wonderful discussion on these 4 Mahavakyas, Shrutam Brahmatmekyam Drishtanta Mukhena. Okay, you explained to us that is higher level physics, a lot of theory, a lot of equations. How does that work in our everyday life? If Brahman is one, you're saying Jiva and Brahma is one. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, Ayam Atma Brahma. Everywhere you are emphasizing on the unity. How do I make sense of diversity? How do I explain why it appears to be in multiplicity with different qualities, different names and forms and attributes? We need to explain it. Therefore, Tad Vivekena Shrutam Brahmatmekyam Drishtanta Mukhena, with a few illustrations. Samyak Bodhaitum Idam Prakaranam Aravate. In order to further, there is nothing new being introduced here. He is having another chapter in order to now, sort of bring into discussion a lot of illustrations, a lot of examples, only to explain why this diversity appears so real, and yet the diversity is only phenomenal, the diversity is only apparent. How does that work out? Therefore, he's saying, I'll give you an example of a painting, Chitradeepa Prakaranam. Yeah? So this is the light of knowledge, that Deepa word is used here. Now, we had earlier done Dvaita Viveka Prakaranam. Here again, we are doing Chitradeepa Prakaranam. Yeah? It's very beautiful. Now the first one. Chitradeepa Drishtantena Paramatmani Avastha Chatushtaya Kathanam. He is not telling you what are these 4 stages of reality. At the phenomenal level, up till the ultimate thing, what are these 4 stages? He is not exactly mentioning to you right away. He's not mentioning that. But he's saying that, no, I will explain it to you. Okay? That is how he's mentioning, and let's go there. How does he explain it? Yatha chitrapate drishtam avasthanam chatusthayam paramatmani vikshiyam tathavastha chatusthayam. Now drishtanta and drashtantika. Drishtanta is the illustration and drashtantika is the prakarana, where we are discussing it. What is the subject matter? How that illustration will help us understand our subject matter. Drashtantika. So, one is the cosmic reality we're going to discuss, and he's going to give the example of a painting to explain this phenomenal reality around us, which is colorful and diverse and different from each other. We have this diversity appearing as real, but it's not real. It's phenomenal. How do we make sense of it? That is what he's trying to explain. Yatha chitrapate drishtam. The way you see one chitrapata, one canvas, there's some painting on it. Avasthanam chatushtayam. And there are 4 stages of reality there. So this is the drishtanta, the point of illustration. Then it will come to the cosmic reality. Paramatmani vikshiyam. Same way you would see 4 stages of the reality. Tatha avastha chatushtayam. Yatha tatha. Yatha is the illustration, the drishtanta. Tatha is drashtantika. The way you see it there, same way you see it here. But he's not given any details here. He's essentially telling us that I would be using the example, the illustration of a piece of art, a painting on a canvas to help you understand. You can get a hint of it already. Because what he's trying to say is that the canvas is in fact real. No, the canvas is real. Like Ramana Maharshi all the time used to give this example. You're sitting in front of a white screen on which these are films being played out. No, and then you have your Jurassic Park you're seeing. So therefore, what do you see there? You have these dinosaurs. They don't even exist right now, but they appear real. You experience anxiety when these two little kids trying to hide themselves. They're being chased by this, you know, rhinoceros rex or whatever. So there is this anxiety and fear. You want to protect those kids. They're hiding there. No, we saw that movie. It's almost 30 years back, or more than 30 years back. So I think it was in the early 90s, and it was a big international hit. But they presented it as if it is real. There's no dinosaur, isn't it? And it's all on a screen, watching which we experienced what may have existed millions of years back. The world is like that. It's actually the canvas which is real, and on that you have so many realities which appear. Beautifully, he will explain how, same way, you should meditate on the diversity as unreal and return to the canvas. What is the canvas? The substratum on which the pictures are painted. Similarly, this world appears on the substratum, the platform. And what is it? It is Brahman, the Adhara, Sarva Adhara. That he will explain. Now let's look at the commentary, which is easy to follow. Yatha Chitrapate, Drishtante, Chitrapate, Chitra Lekhanena, somebody paints it. Samyaka Chitrite, beautifully it's painted. Pate Avasthanam, Pata is the canvas, the piece of cloth. Avasthanam, Vakshamananam, that you see that we're talking about. Chatushtayam Drishtam, there are 4 stages of phenomenal appearance of reality. He's not naming them. He will explain it after this. Tatha Paramatmani, same way in a Paramatma, which is Shuddha Brahman. Avastha Chatushtayam Astiti Vijayam. Similarly, and what are these 4 avasthas you are talking about? He is not giving a hint of it, but he's going to describe it as we move forward. Now look at it. We're going to the next one. Drishtanta Drastantikayor Avastha Chatushtayam Aha. There is Drishtanta is the illustration, point of illustration, and Drastantika is the point of discussion, which is about the cosmic reality of Brahman. How is he explaining these are corresponding phenomenal appearances, both in a piece of art on the canvas and also on Brahman in a similar manner? That's what he's trying to say. Yatha dhauta ghatitasya lanchito ranjitah pataha chidantaryami sutratma viratadma tathiryate. Now look at the 4 names he's giving, and he will explain each of this with great care and detail. What is the first one? The canvas. What it is made of? Some piece of cloth. Yatha dhautaha. First thing is that it has to be a clean canvas. If somebody gives you a colored piece of canvas or color cloth, you want to paint something in it, is it possible? No. You look at this Jagannath Rath Yatra is happening. So first they mix some herbs, some glue, which are organic glue, and they paste these white cloths on the deity of Lord Jagannath, which is made of wood. And then they would give another paint on it. Then they would give a white color. Then they would give different colors. There are layers and layers of it. Oil painting is something very peculiar that you can, even if somebody gives you a piece of canvas with different colors on it, you can paint it white and restart afresh. That's not possible in case of watercolor. So techniques are different. He's hearing yatha dhautaha. The first one is the canvas has to be clean. And what is that? That is the Shuddha Brahma. Without any upadhi, there's nothing in it. It's a clean piece of cloth. First, Drishtanta we are talking about, the point of illustration. Okay? Level 1. What is the level 1? A pure, clean piece of cloth which you have washed properly. Because there could be some marks, some stains or whatever. So you dip it in water and you clean it very well. You wash it. Done. That's the first one. All upadhi is removed. Ghatitasya. And then you give a certain paste on it. In the traditional paintings which are done, they prepare a kind of porridge out of rice powder, boiled rice powder. They mix certain other traditional herbs which act as a glue so that it sticks to it, because you cannot paint on a very thin piece of cloth. So they apply it. Of course, the canvas that you import or which are now produced also in India, these are made of special fabrics. So it will hold the oil color. So otherwise, in many places, they apply a paint. What is that? Ghatitasya, it's called ghatita. That is the next. So you have applied a certain paint on it, which is white color only, but it's painted there. Second level. What is the third one? Lanchita. What is lanchita? Then you pick up your pencil. You are doing the outlines of whatever you want to have on it. So you want to have flowers. You want to have a floral thing on the canvas. You want to draw a natural scenery. You want to put a beautiful woman, or you want to put multiple kids playing on a ground. Depends on what's your plan. So you'll draw those lines. Whosoever you are, whether it's oil painting or acrylic or watercolor, they will do the outlines with pencil. Very light pencil. You just want to see. So the outline is there. And then Ranjitaha. And finally you apply the colors. And they also happen in different layers, depending on what technique you are applying. It could be from dark to light, it could be from light to dark, and there are different techniques. So you do the paintings. That is Ranjita. Rajyeta anena iti rangaha. So the colors are applied. So what are the 4 levels of phenomenal reality now? You have, at one level, you have the colors. The second subtle level, you have the lines. The third subtle level, you have the white paint made of some hobble thing and rice powder, whatever. You put that paste on it, and ultimately it's just a plain piece of cloth which has been washed properly. 4 levels. Now we'll come to the cosmic reality, the drashtantika, the point of our discussion. And what is it? He's explaining. Chid, the pure piece of cloth which doesn't have anything on it, is comparable with Shuddha Brahma, Chaitanya, Vishuddha Chit. That is the first level. Then Antaryami. What is it? Ishvara. Why is it called Antaryami? Because he enters into all jivas and everything, then he does niyamana. He's Antaryami. There is Antaryami Brahmana in the Upanishads, and there is a beautiful discussion on it. So you have the Antaryami. And then what do you have? You have the Hiranyagarbha. It is called Sutratma. So you know what is called Taijasa at the Vyashti Rupa, the micro level. It's called Hiranyagarbha. He creates this sansara, isn't it? The Linga Sarira he creates. The Shukshma Sarira. So that is what is the Sutratma. And then finally, the Sthula Sarira he creates is at the micro level. It's called Vishwa. It's in Jagrata Avastha. It's called Virat or Vaishwanara. The physical universe. So you have the physical universe, you have the subtle, the causal principle of this universe, which is the Hiranyagarbha Sutratma. He's called Sutra because he sort of holds everything together. And then you have Ishvara, which is Antaryami, all pervading. But these are all with upadhis. The top one doesn't have any upadhis, and that is pure consciousness. The 4th level. Okay? So you have pure cloth, here you have Chaitanya, Suddha Chaitanya. You have Ghatita, a painting of that that white paint that you give in order to strengthen, prepare it for Srishti. That is what is here, the Antaryami Ishvara, Maya Upaita Chaitanya. And then you have here the, after Ghatita, what do you have? Lanchita. You have the lines being drawn. What is it here? Shutratma. The lines, the plan, the blueprint is prepared. At the bottom, what do you have? You have the colors here. And here, what do you have? Virat, the physical universe. Now, let's look at how he's explaining it. Yatha ghataha dhautaha, which has been washed, clean, pure, white. Then ghatitaha, then you have applied that paint. What is that paint? No color, huh? It's just you're just spreading that particular rice and certain other glue. You mix it, you don't pit it. That is ghatita. They call it a powder called khadi. They mix it with certain other glue and they put it. Lak is also mixed, depending on who is the artist and what is the technology they employ. Lanchita, then the lines are drawn. If you go to Patachitra, Raghunathpur near Puri, you would see they do all that. Then you have the lines being drawn. And finally, they work with the colors. Lanchita. Iti avastha chatushtaya vishisto jnayate. This is how you have 4 levels of reality in the drishtanta, in the illustration. Similarly, tatha, same way, paramatma pi, same with the cosmic reality. Chit, antaryami, sutratma, virat atma. Same reality with different upadhis. So in Paramatma, there is no upadhi, no activity there. It's a white piece of cloth. Similarly here, Chit, Antaryami, Sutratma, or Hiranyagarbha, and Virat. Atma iti avastha chatushtaya van iti iryate. So it has also 4 stages. The ultimate one has no name and form. Now he has to elaborate on it. Otherwise, we will not understand it very well. And he has to give the example, give the illustration, and go back again and again to the cosmic reality that he's trying to explain. Okay. So he's going to explain and we're going to look at it. Patagata avastha chatushtayam bibrunoti swatah iti. So these are we are now looking at the drishtanta, the illustration, point of illustration. And what are these 4 levels he is going to explain. Swatah subhrotra dhautah. स्वतः शुभ्रोत्र धौतः स्याद घटितो अन्न विलेपनात् मस्याकारे लाञ्छितः स्याद रञ्जितो वर्णपूरणात्. स्वतः शुभ्रः, the piece of cloth that you bring by its very nature is white. Have you applied any color on it? No colors are applied. So how does it look? It's pure white. There's nothing applied on it. Therefore, he's trying to say that it is a piece of pure white color. And then what happens? Swataha subra atra. And dhautaha, it's clean. There's no stain, no mark, nothing. Syat. Ghatita, how does it become ghatita? Where do you give it that thickness? You give it the ability to carry the lines and the colors. How do you give that capacity? Then that Maya Upahita thing, that is the Maya potential. You paint it with that glue and the rice powder, everything. You make a porridge and you're painting it on it. Ghatitaha, how do you do it? Anna Bilepana. You boil some rice, make a paste of it, and mix some lak, and these are different kind of natural glues which are available. And then you apply on it so that it becomes hard. There you can do, because piece of cloth is very difficult, doesn't have any form. Therefore, you give it becomes, then you put it on a frame, then you have a beautiful canvas. Canvas is ready. Masyakari lanchita syad. Masi. What is masi? Masi is the ink which you use in the pen or the pencil. So then you draw the basic lines. Masyakarihi lanchitaha syad. So those pencil lines, you draw the lines that you want to do. Kaliya Dalanam, Lord Krishna taming that large mythical snake, dancing on it. And a lot of these gopis and others are praying him. You want to draw this. It's an elaborate work. So you do the lines. Ranjita Varna Puranat. Then you start working on the colors. You make because it's on water, so you'll have this blue surface of the water. You paint the snake, you paint Lord Krishna. At the end, you give the eyes and stuff like that. Then you have the gopis and other devotees, and maybe a few animals are around watching this whole show. You work out the details. Let's look at the commentary. Pataha swattaha swabhavataha subraha swachhaha. The piece of cloth or the canvas by nature is white, number one. Essentially, it's white. It's not doing anything to appear white. Subraha, white. That means what? Transparent. It's swachhaha. Then, chitra bilepanartham dhautaha. And then, first thing what you do is you wash it properly. Anna bilepanad ghattito bhavati. Then you turn it into an effective canvas by giving it a paint of this rice porridge with some natural glues, organic glues. Mastrani kriyate ityarthaha. So you give it, it has to be even and plain. And then you put it on a frame. Otherwise, how do you do the painting? Mastrani kriyate. So that it should be very clean and nice and smooth. Then he's saying, Tritiya avasthayam, at the third state, masyakarahi. Masyakarahi means using the pencil. Masimayehi lekhaniyakarihi. So using a pen or a drawing tool that you have, maybe you're using some light color ink or you're using a pencil. Earlier days they didn't have a pencil, so how did they do the outlines? They will use very light gray ink maybe to do the lines. So masyakari lanchita sampadyate. So now the lines are drawn. So the basic framework is ready. Masi iti lekhana sadhani bhutam drava dravyam. So here it's not a graphite pencil or anything. It's in fact a certain pen where you're using some light colored ink to draw the outlines. If you look at the traditional paintings in India, which is being used as an illustration, so how that used to happen. So how do you explain this? That in India, you're essentially trying to explain painting. Here, they were flat paintings. So they would be drawing the outlines using some kind of a pen. That's what he's mentioning here. That is the fourth stage. The third stage. Masi iti lekhani sadhyani bhutam drava dravyam. Drava is actually, some viscous liquid form with which you draw the lines. Ghadita pate masya chitrasya bahyaka. So you are essentially putting the outlines. You are not giving the content. Everything is not clear there. Only the outlines are mentioned. Turyavastayam, it's in a reverse fashion actually. In yoga and all, when you Mandukya Upanishad, Turyavastha is actually that Chaitanya, Suddha Brahma. Here it is in the different. Because there we are traveling from the Jagrata Avastha to the Swapnavastha to Susupti Avastha and ultimately Turyavastha. Now we are going from Shashta to Srishti, from Suddha Brahma to this whole Vichitra Sansara. So Turya would be in the reverse direction. So Turya essentially means fourth. Turyavastayam yatha yogyam varna puranat. Now, if you are drawing a cow, outline is fine. But if the cow you are applying only, a white colored cow with a few gray spots or with some brown spots, a brown color cow with some white spots, isn't it? Then you are drawing a lady So you give her if she's an Indian lady, so you mix yellow color with a bit of pink and then white and stuff like that. You give her that color. No? If she's an European lady, you'll be mixing white with pink, and depends on what particular form you want to give. Yatha yogyam, he mentioned. As it deserves, everybody would not have the same color. Yatha yogyam varna puranat, rakta pitadi varnanam puranat. Rakta means red, pita means white, depends on what you are trying to draw. So if you are drawing Radha Krishna, so Krishna ji's color will be different. And Krishna ji is dark or blue, and Radha ji is pure golden white. And then Krishna ji is wearing a yellow colored dress, and Radha ji is wearing maybe some other dress because it's Pita, he wears the yellow color. Radha ji may be wearing something white with red borders, anything. Yeah, she can wear anything. Varnanam Puranat Chitra Chitritatwadi Chitritatwad iti arthaha ranjitaha syat. So that is how it is painted. So you have the outlines, then it is filled with different colors, so you have the painting ready for you. Now we have to understand the cosmic reality because we now understood what is the point of illustration. Now return to the real subject matter. You gave us the illustration, fine, I understand. Now explain to me how Brahman appears as samsara, how Brahman appears as this diverse reality. Then he has to explain it. Drashtantikasya avastha chatushtayam vibrunoti. Drashtantika here is the cosmic reality. That is the point of discussion. Swataha iti. Swataha chit antaryami tu mayavi suksma sristitaha sutratma stula sristyaiva viradityuchyate paraha. Swataha chit, that is the first level. Swataha chit, Chaitanya by essentially there is no maya kalpana, there is no superimposition, there is no upadhi, it's nirupadhika suddha Brahman. Swataha chit, by itself, Swayam Prakasa Chaitanya, that is first level, the purest. Then what about Antaryami? Antaryami to Mayavi. Is Maya Upahita Chaitanya? Chaitanya is there. With Maya Upadhi, it becomes Antaryami. Antaryami means it's in all of us and then it controls us and we don't know it. That it becomes Ishvara. Sarva Vidyaman, Sarva Shaktiman, and Sarvagya. Omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Then you have all these Aishwarya, Sad Aishwarya Vam. So that is Mayavi. Yeah? Mayam tu Prakritim Vidyat, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. That we have done earlier. Mayin, the one with the potency of Maya, this magical power, that is Ishvara. He becomes Antaryama, he is in all of us. And then Sikshma Sristitaha Sutratma, the Linga Sarira, the subtle bodies that we have. What is the subtle body made of? You have the Pancha Pranas, Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, Manas and Buddhis together. So that is a mixture of Pranamaya Kosha and Manomaya Kosha and Vijnanamaya Kosha together. It's a Linga Sarira. At the bottom, what do you have? The Sthula Sarira will go there. Sutra Atma, then Sthula Srishtya Eva Virat. And then the Annamaya Kosha at the bottom. The physical thing spread out. Annamaya Kosha for the human being, the physical being. What about this whole physical cosmos? That is called Virat at the collective level. So the cosmic physical reality is called Virat. Virat iti uchyate paraha. Who is called Virat? Beautifully mentioned. This is the subject, paraha. The same Paramatma. See, this is the point of discussion. It's beautiful, the last word, paraha. The same Paramatma, the same Nirupadhika Brahman. At the first level, without any upadhis, is called Vishuddha Chit. And then it's called Antaryami at the second level of imposition. Here is Dhautapata, pure canvas, that is called Shuddha Brahman. Everything is Brahman, that is Paraha. That same Parabrahma is called Vishuddha Chit, is a white piece of cloth, Drashtantika. Then it becomes Mayavi, with Maya Upahita Chaitanya, it becomes that Ghatitapata. You have applied that paint in order to make it very straight and smooth. Then you can put it on a frame and you can start painting. Then you have Sutratma, outlines, Lanchita. And then at the bottom, Ranjita, that is Virat. Done. Let's look at how he's elaborating it. Paraha Paramatma Swataha Swabhavatah Chit. By itself, it's Chaitanya. Swataha Swabhavatah Chit. Mayaya Analingita. When it is not in the embrace of Maya. Remember, Maya. Yama Sa Maya. What actually fundamentally doesn't exist. Maya per se has no reality of its own. It's a tool of superimposition. It's just a concept we are using in order to explain the diversity. Fundamentally, Brahman is one without a second. So Maya is not a separate reality other than Brahman. It's just a superimposition. But you might ask, how do you explain it? Everything is Brahman, then where do you get Maya? And how then it makes it Ishvara? And if you ask some advanced student of physics, he will say that there is something called this quantum vacuum, and there is some kind of an excitement, a new energy field, and then you have the foundational particles coming into picture, and later on, everything kind of spreads out at the physical universe. Same way, more or less. I'm not trying to draw strong parallels. Just for the heck of explanation, we can look at it that way. Mayaya analingita chaitanya rupaha. Mayaya analingita means without having any connection with Maya. That means Maya superimposition, Maya upadhi isn't there. So chaitanya rupaha. And then once Mayavi Mayaya yuktaha, when it's kind of not entangled with Maya, but it wears that potential, wears that hat, that Mayavi. Thakur Ramakrishna Paramahansa all the time would say, Jadugar is real, his magic is a game. Similarly, wears that hat of Maya, then he becomes the magician, Ishvara. Mayavi is what? Mayaya yuktaha antaryami. Why do you call him antaryami? What is the meaning of it? Antaha madhye anupravishya yamayati. He is everywhere. He's omnipresent, omniscient. He knows everything. He's witness to everything. And then omnipotent, he does everything through us. On his own, he makes somebody wise, somebody fool? No. Because of our own kamanas, on our vasanas, our papa punyas. It's like a supercomputer which is ubiquitous, is everywhere, and keeps working, processes our papa punyas and gives us results. Then he's saying, Yamayati Prithivyadini Swa Karmashu iti tathavidaha. Everybody has a different set of activities, different set of orientations. You have a dog, a cat, a pigeon, or peacock. They all are behaving differently. Depends on our own papa punyas, our own orientations, and you have this sarvaniyamaka, antaryama in all of us. Jivam va daru yantramiva. Daru yantra. It's like we human beings, as if actually it's a machine. In the Western philosophy, when you talk about consciousness or soul, they say it's ghost in the machine. So it's like daru yantra. It's like made of this karyakarana sanghata, and you have that antaryami who is there in all of us. Daru yantramiva vyaparayati. So you have one remote control, like you have in Chinese toys these days. You have these remote control toys and cars, and sometimes certain tiny aircraft, or you have these drones, remote control. They are moving around. There's a battery, and there's somebody who is controlling it, regulating it. So Ishwara is doing it. It's like that. Ya imam cha lokam param cha lokam sarvani cha bhutani yo antaro yamayati Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 371. Yaha imam cha lokam param cha lokam. This ihaloka and Shwargaloka both. Sarvani cha bhutani. All jivas, bhutavargas, animate, inanimate. Yo antaro yamayati, who is there in all of us and controls and regulates all of us. Yaha sarveshu bhuteshu tishtan sarvebhyo bhutebhyo antaro oyam sarvani bhutani na viduhu, who is there in all of us. And then he is sort of immanent all of us, and yet we do not know what it is. Because that's the magical power of Ishvara. Sarvani bhutani naviduhu. Sarvani bhutani antaru yamayati vridani. Next time, 3-7. That is 3-7-1, and this 3-7-16. Another mantra there. Sarvani bhutani antaru yamayati, which is hiding on all of us and then controlling and regulating all of us. Antaryami adhi daivadishu tad dharma vyapadesad in Brahma Sutra 1-19. It's called, sometimes you use this word, what is Adi Daivika? In the 8th chapter, Bhagavan explains to Arjuna, isn't it? We have dealt with it. What is Adhyatmika? What is Adi Daivika? What is Adhijagya? Bhagavan explains all that. Same here, he's saying, Adi Devat Adishu Tad Dharma Vyapadesat. Brahma Sutra explains Ityadibhya. From all this, what is that? The Ishvara, which is there in all of us, the Mayavi, that is explained to us. And then Antaryami. Sukshma Srishtitaha Sukshmasya Linga Sarirasya Sristehe Sutratma Sutram Iva Sarvanushita Atma Yasya Saha Samasti Upahita Chaitanyo Hiranya Garbha. It's like the golden egg, Hiranya Garbha, out of which everything is born. And how does he explain? Sukshma Srishtitaha is subtle, because he deals with what? The Panchatanmatras, Ahankar and Buddhi. In the Prakriti, Vikriti together, then he creates. He creates these Jnanendriyas, he creates the Vijnanamaya Kosha, he creates the Manomaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, he creates this Linga Sharira. Linga Sarirasya Sristehe Sutratma. Why is it called Sutratma? Sutre Manigana Iva. Because it holds, it's everywhere. That is the Taijasa Padartha. This is the dream state in Mandukya Upanishad. Here it is called Taijasa, there it is called Hiranyagarbha, Sutram Iva Sarvan Vishvita. Because it's everywhere. As if everything is kind of knit together with the help of this. That's why it's called Sutratma. Yasya Saha Samasti Upahita Chaitanya. So that is the samasti, that is the collective thing which creates, is called Sutratma. Stula Srishtya eva Stulasya Panchakrita Bhutastasya Dvaitasya Srishtya Viradi Divchyade. In the same Suddha Brahman, now in relation to this whole physical cosmos, which is diverse and in multiples and undergoes a lot of vikaras and modal changes, it's called Virat. Done. We have done, and we are going further than that. Let's look at the next verse. Chitrasya pataiva samasta jagataha brahmadhishthanam ityaha brahmeti. Now, you have these 4 levels of reality. You have the clean piece of cloth, then you have the ghatita, then lanchita, then ranjita. You have the application of colors, before that the lines, and before that a clean paint. And then you have this. And all of it is actually on that piece of canvas. That remains the platform for all these layers of expression of reality. Same way, the Brahman remains sarvadhara. As in case of painting, the canvas remains the foundation. But when you mention canvas, you are saying a prepared piece of cloth. So I'll just say the clean piece of cloth. Canvas is Ishvara in a way. There is some kind of, there is some upadhi over there. So that is alone is real. Let's look at the sutra, which is very interesting. Brahmadyastamba paryantaha praninotra jada api uttamadhama bhavena bhartante padachitravat. There is some abdhama and uttama, depends on what you are painting. And different colors are given, different shapes are formed. Brahmadi stamba paryantaha. Stamba means what? Not pillar. Stamba means your blade of grass. Starting with Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, Prajapati, whatever you say. Starting from here, that is the Karya Brahma. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. Everything they return. So these are all Karya Rupas, effects. The first Karya Brahma is the Hiranyagarbha. So starting with Brahmaji, the Hiranyagarbha, Stamba Paryantaha, a blade of grass, everything, Praninaha. Now you have to understand that in Brahmaji Jiva, all the gods and goddesses are, celestial entities, but these are not Brahman. These are all entities which will get eclipsed removed, put off at Pralaya when everything gets destroyed. Yeah. So therefore, Brahmadi Stamba Paryantaha Praninaha. So they are all pranis, they are all living beings. Some are having physical manifestation, some are very subtle. So, like the Gandharvas who are fond of music, Rakshasas, Yakshas, they are different levels of celestial beings. Then you have Manushas, the physical beings, then you have animals, and then inanimate things like rivers and mountains and all. Praninaha atra jada api. Pranina is the living beings. Also the inanimate jada api. Uttama adhama bhavena, depending on the level in which they manifest. Some are subtler, more powerful, more celestial. Some are jada, at the bottom of it. Bartante padachitravate, and they are all painted. So in the painting, you have Lord Krishna who is painted with, the Kaliya Dalana, you have the snake, and then you have a lot of people who are folding the hands, and then you have that particular ocean, and you have few trees, then you have small animals, then you have some pieces of rock. You're painting all of them. Come to the Rashtantika. This is the physical universe. There also you have these other realities, animate and inanimate. You have also the demigods or gods. Depends on whatever you are painting. Let's look at the commentary, which is interesting. Atra pare brahmani brahmadya, starting with Brahman. Para brahmani is that particular pure piece of cloth. Hiranya garbhadaya, starting with Hiranya garbha. And then you have Hiranyagarbha. Then you have the Sutratma, so Hiranyagarbha is Sutratma, and then you have Virat. Hiranyagarbhadayaha stamba paryantaha, until a blade of grass, stambena alpatrinena, blade of grass, alpatrinena, parigat anto yeshamte, finally you end up with a blade of grass, tatha bhutasya, same way this bhutavarga, praninaha, jiva kotayaha, jada api. Prani means whatever belong to the animal kingdom or plant kingdom. Together they have some life. What about Jada Vargas? Completely inanimate, piece of rock, river, water, mountain, all that. Jada api aprani taya, because they don't have life. Drashtaha parvatadayascha te, and then these are all you're seeing. You see them. Parvatadayascha te sarve uttama adhama bhavena, depending on the level of their existence. Some are superior, some are inferior. Prarabdha anusarena, why some are superior, why some are inferior, why somebody becomes a demigod, somebody becomes the Gandharva, somebody becomes Hiranyagarbha. They have done a lot of punyas. In the Kathopanishad, the Yamarav says, I'm not liberated. I rule over the domain of death. I'm the kingdom of death because I did a lot of punyas. But this is a trap. You want liberation, you have a human body. You have the best opportunity to engage in jnana yoga to get ultimate liberation. Gods cannot do it. The celestial beings don't do it. Angels cannot do it. Why? Because they're very proud of their existence, having some celestial powers, and therefore they get trapped in that existence. Only human beings have the best opportunity to do nishkama karma and upasana and then enter into shravana manana and nididhyasana in order for seeking liberation, a release from these multiple involvements through different births. Prarabdhanusarena uccha nicha stitim asadya, then somebody is superior, somebody is inferior, that kind of existence we assume. Padachitravate, same way in the painting, somebody is a little dog, somebody is a duck, somebody is a tree, somebody is a river, these are all painted. Padachitravate vartante, same way we exist in this cosmic reality. Now these two slokas we will do because that's the kind of section out of which we'll do tomorrow. Chidabhasasya chitragata vastrabhasanurupatam slokadvena aha chitreti. And what is this Chidabhasya? Yeah, that consciousness through which we see, which is associated with our brain. He's trying to say Chidabhasa, Chit vad abhasat iti Chidabhasa. It's not Chaitanya, but it appears like that. We see, we know this whole world, and then we confuse our mind as ourself. We confuse us as reality. We do not know that we are tiny pieces on that big painting of God. Let's look at it. It's beautiful, these two slokas. चित्रापीर्तमनुष्याणां वस्त्रभासः पृथक् पृथक् चित्राधारेण वस्त्रेण सदृशा इव कल्पिताः पृथक् पृथक् चिदाभासा चैतन्याधस्ताद्देहिनां कल्प्यन्ते जीवनामानो बहुधा संसरन्त्यमी चित्रार्पित manusyanam. So you are painting a world war. You are painting a war in a painting. You can go to different kingdoms and they have these massive paintings in the museums where there is a war between, like Mahabharata. Chitraarpita manusyanam, and those are tiny human beings there. Vastra bhasa, and then what is the real vastra? It is that patachitra, because that's a piece of cloth. And then in the painting, you have people wearing, one girl is wearing a frock, a man is wearing dhoti and a kurta, somebody is wearing different kinds of colors of cloth. What is the color of the cloth? It doesn't have any color. It's a white piece of cloth. But then you have imaginary pieces of dress given to these imaginary entities called human beings in the painting. Yeah? So there is one avhasa, one reality is called the piece of cloth, and then you have cloth avhasa, patavhasa, in that small tiny picture of a human being in the painting. Chitrarpita manushyana, manusya is real, but you are looking at the drishtanta, the chitrarpita manusyanam, vastravhasaha prathak prathak, everybody is wearing different kinds of clothes. You are doing a school exhibition in which different girls are wearing different colored dresses. What is the real color of the dress? The real color of the dress is the color of the white piece of cloth is white, it's clean. But then there are imaginary colors given to different girls and they are all different. Actually, the color of the patachitra is one, it's white. Same way, we people are different. Somebody is intelligent, somebody is not so intelligent. These are imaginary. Chitra adharena. Adhar is that chitra. These are imaginary superimpositions. Bastrena sadrasa iva kalpita. They all are imagined. Those clothes don't exist, but we say, and that girl is wearing a blue frock, this girl is wearing a white frock, this girl is wearing a green frock. All imaginary, because you applied those colors. The real color of the cloth is actually white. Prathak prathak chida bhasaha, same way you look at our subjectivities, we all, somebody is wise, somebody is stupid, somebody is sharp, somebody is dull. Chaitanya adhyastaha dehinam, tad dehinam. Adhyasta dehinam, Chaitanya adhyasta dehinam. Dehi are jivas. We are superimposed in that pure consciousness. Chaitanya adhyasta dehinam. Right? So in Chaitanya, we are superimposed. Like the painting of human beings is superimposed in that large piece of canvas which has no color, it's white. Kalpyante jivanamano. And then we have different people. Somebody is sharp, somebody is creative, somebody is a sports person, somebody is a politician, somebody is a priest, and not so honest priest. All these are imaginary. Bahuda sansaranti ami. And then they undergo birth and death, birth and death. The pure truth about it is that actually Chaitanya, that pure piece of cloth, and you just look at these paintings, you can actually maybe paint it white again and you have another piece of painting. The fundamental reality remains the same. And the commentary will do and move forward tomorrow because we have just hit the timeline. No problem. So let's do the Santi Mantras and we'll start from here tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Tat Sat. Have a good weekend. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Pranam, sir.